Hello guys, and welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be solving equation on inverse and injectivity. Okay, so here is the question. We have been given h of x which is x on 8, f of x which is 3x plus 5, and g of x which is x to the 4. Okay, here we are to determine whether the given functions are one-to-one. If yes, find their inverses. Okay, so let's begin with a solution. Okay, so the first thing you need to know before solving this question, if you don't know what one-to-one is, then you will not be able to interpret this question. So you need to know that a one-to-one function is also known as injective. So another name for an injective function is a one-to-one function. So here they're just simply and basically telling you to determine whether the given functions are injective. And that is the trick in this question. Okay, so let's start with the first function, h of x equal to x on 8. Okay, now we have to determine whether this function is injective. Remember, an injective function, for injective functions, f of x1 should be equal to f of x2, which is the same as x1 equal to x2. So that is what we have. So basically x1 should be equal to x2. So we are going to take the first case, f of x1. Our f of x1 is, since we are having h here, in this case, then we will put h. So our h of x1 is simply x1 divided by 8, and our h of x2 is simply x2 divided by 8. I'm taking this from the function. So we have to equate them and see whether we would end up with x1 equal to x2. Okay, now let us equate them. We have x1 divided by 8 equal to x2 divided by 8. Okay, so let us cross multiply. So we have 8x1 equal to 8x2. So we can divide both sides by 8. And as we can see, the 8 will cancel out. So we are left with x1 equal to x2. So this is what we have ended up with. So we can conclude that our h of x is a one-to-one function. So this is our conclusion. So that's not all. The question says determine whether the given functions are one-to-one. If yes, find their inverses. So why do they put if yes there? Remember, only one-to-one functions have inverses. So if this function is not a one-to-one function, if our h of x was not a one-to-one function, then it would not have an inverse. But here, since it is a one-to-one function, then we can go ahead and find its inverse. Okay, so now we need h inverse of x. So here we'll take y equal to what was our h of x, that is x on 8, y equal to x on 8. So here we want to make x the subject of the formula. So we cross multiply. So we are going to have 8y equal to x. So that's all. Simply, our h inverse of x is 8x. So now we are replacing this y with x. That is that for h of x. Now let us go to the second one. The second was f of x. So what is our f of x? Let me just see what it is. 3x plus 5. We have 3x plus 5. So we need to check whether f of x is a one-to-one function. Remember, a one-to-one function is an injective function. So we are going to have f of x1. It should be equal to f of x2, which is the same as x1 equal to x2. Okay, we have that. So we are going to take the first case, f of x1, which is simply 3x1 plus 5, and our f of x2 is 3x2 plus 5. So we need to equate them and see whether we are going to end up with x1 equal to x2. So let's equate them. We have 3x1 plus 5 equal to 3x2 plus 5. So this is what we have. So we are going to bring like terms together. Oh no, we are not going to bring like terms together. Sorry, we will simply send this 5 this way. So that is 3x1 equal to 3x2 plus 5 minus 5. We send it this way, so its sign changes. So this is 0. So we are left with 3x1 equal to 3x2. So this is what we have. And from here, as we can see, we need to divide both sides by 3. So the 3's will cancel out, obviously. So we end up with x1 equal to x1. So this case is a yes. So we can say that our f of x is a one-to-one function. F of x is a one-to-one function. Okay, so the question says show determine if it is a one-to-one function, and if yes, find its inverse. So here we have a yes condition. It is a one-to-one function, so we would go ahead and find its inverse. So we need to find the inverse of our function f. So we take again y equal to our function 3x plus 5. Remember, we need to make x the subject of the formula. So we are going to have, we send 5 this way, so it will be y minus 5 equal to 3x. So let me just reverse them. 3x is the same thing, equals to y minus 5. So here we are going to divide both sides by 3 because we want to make x the subject of the formula. The 3's will cancel, so we have x equal to y minus 5 on 3. So that is what we have, and we can say the inverse of our function f is equal to x. Remember, we substitute y with x now when we are writing the final function, x minus 5 on 3. This is what we have. Okay, this is it for this function. Let us go to the last function, that is g of x. Remember, we had three functions. So the first was injective, the second was injective. Now let's see about the third. The third, g of x, is simply x to the 4. So now we need to determine whether g of x is injective. Okay, to determine whether g of x is injective, we need to take g of x1 equal to g of x2, which is the same as x1 equal to x2. So let's have the first case. Our g of x1 is x to the power x1 to the power 4, and our g of x2 is x2 to the power 4. So now we are going to equate them. We will have x1 to the power 4 equal to x2 also to the power 4. In this case, we have two conditions. We have either x1 to the power 4, here we have a condition x1 equal to plus or minus x2. So from there, we are going to be having x1 equal to x2 or x1 equal to minus x2. This is the two conditions we are going to be having. If we test for x1 to the power 4 equal to x2 to the power 4, this would give us what we are looking for. Yes, it will be injective, but this second case will not apply. So if we have minus x1 equal to, we have x1 to the 4 equal to x minus x2 to the 4. This will not work. So we cannot have one case working and the other case working. So in this case, we just conclude in general that g of x is not injective because we have two cases here and one case does not work. That is the problem. So it cannot be injective. So g of x is not injective. And we cannot find the inverse because the question says show determine whether it is a one-to-one function, and if yes, find its inverse. But in this case, it is already not injective. It is not a one-to-one function, so we cannot find its inverse. Remember, only one-to-one functions have inverses. So this is not a one-to-one function, so it does not have an inverse. So in this case, we cannot find its inverse. Okay, remember, one-to-one means injective. Do not forget that was somehow the trick in this version because some people would not know. So one-to-one, a one-to-one function is an injective function. It is just another name for it. And remember, for an injective function, f of x1 should be equal to f of x2, which is the same as x1 should be equal to x2. So when you solve, you should end up with x1 equal to x2. Okay, that's all for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video.